Today's video is all about Zebec Network, where real-time meets real-world, stablecoin payroll, and seamless PayFi in motion. Today, we're going to be doing a deep dive into this project, looking into some of the fundamentals, such as the team, the tokenomics, the utility, and the overall value proposition, trying to figure out whether this project has what it takes to make it to our portfolio. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunity. And the question is Zebec an opportunity? Where, real time meets real world, guys. Obviously, there's some real big statements here right on the landing page of this website, and I'm quite interested in getting through this because, a lot of people have been talking about Zebec. It came to my attention a few months ago, and here we are looking at Zebec and trying to figure out, does it have all the bullishness required in order for us to be bullish? The fundamentals need to line up, and of course, we're going to be taking a retail perspective. We're going to be talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're going to be very, very clear that ultimately this deep dive is a retail perspective deep dive. What I mean by this is the team has to make sure that they provide all the details necessary for the average retail investor to get bullish. It has to be well documented, easy to understand, available, and up to date and current. And everything else that is not or does not fit in that category is fairy tales, right? That's the reality. So I'm going to do my best here to dig through all that they got, and we're going to try to get fundamentally bullish here. All right, so let's begin. We're going to use the website as our main platform to navigate. Again, where the real world meets, basically real time meets real world. That's pretty good stuff there, because ultimately we've seen the real world asset narrative, come to fruition. However, I feel like the real world asset narrative still has a little bit, it needs a little bit more clarity when it comes to Zebec. Okay, its real value proposition at the current moment, to me, seems to be a stablecoin payroll and seamless PayFi software solution. That's what I'm looking for right now. Okay, we'll kind of make sense of this as we keep on going. Changing the way money moves, 500 million annual payroll volume. They got a card, which we'll talk about in a second. 250 plus enterprise clients, okay? 50,000 monthly users on and off chain, and 18 plus, not 18 plus, but chains and 150 plus tokens integrated. So they got a lot of chains and a lot of tokens integrated here within their ecosystem, because this is what you want to see. You want to see all kinds of interoperability, so there's no friction and all of that good stuff. So pretty good so far, the landing page. I like this, where real time meets real world. I like this whole concept, but I really don't understand what it has to do with what Zebec offers. That's my biggest problem. I still kind of, maybe it's a future thing. Maybe they're just trying to make sure they encompass everything that they plan on going for in the future. But let's not get hung up on marketing. Let's move on. Zebec is helping create future where money and values move freely in all aspects of our economy, from payroll to investments to everyday expenses. Guys, I've been noticing the demand or the interest within the crypto space for these micro payments or payment systems, right? In the last little while, I've done many deep dives on these types of projects, which tells me that there's a need and there's an interest. And obviously, based on that, there's obviously an opportunity here, right? First mover advantage. Name one project that has gotten the first mover advantage from within this narrative. There is none. So all of it, all the market cap that can be attributed to this narrative is still up in the air for one project to take the majority of the share. And the question is, does Zebec have what it takes? Zebec Network. Okay, so let's continue going down. Spend your crypto anytime, anywhere with Zebec cards, plural. They got many cards, which we're gonna, touch upon in a second. Bring the blockchain to life, everyday life to everyday life. Get paid today, spend, invest with Zebec. Okay, let's click this button. There we go. Real-time payroll. So, which is interesting because you got the opportunity to issue, to get paid by the second. That's very, very interesting. And a Web3 native consumer financial management app. So on your phone. So native consumer financial management app. So be able to customize an application to manage your finances, including Zebec and all the other payments. As you can see, there's a lot of little details here, total card balance, and so on and so forth. So it's like a banking features, right? Typical banking features. Let's keep on going down. Let's see what they got. What else they got here for us? Spend your crypto assets like cash with Zebec cards anytime, anywhere. That's very interesting. Okay, that's obviously something that we're all interested in doing. Um, and then what I like the most is obviously there's a lot of relationships here, and for the most part they're documented on socials. Like there are a lot of social media posts, with a lot of these different relationships. But we got to understand that some of them are strategic, some of them are pure marketing, some of them are not really relationships or partnerships, so to speak. We got to understand that this is all part of the game here in this space. The more of the network effect that you can present, the better or the stronger you seem. Now, Solana, is it a partner? I highly doubt it. Is Algorand a partner? I highly doubt it. Is MasterCard a partner? I highly doubt it. Like these are great relationships where different projects. It's not just Zebec. Use the MasterCard network to get involved and reach people. Reach, because MasterCard is huge. They have the reach. They have the network already. So they use their network and they tap into that network, right? So it's not really necessarily a partnership. You're not going to see MasterCard saying, we are proud to be partnered with Zebec. You're not going to see that. And you're not going to see that from Algorand. You're not going to see that from Solana. They are using their network. Zebec is using their network. So I would say this. It is a good relationship to see these integrations, no doubt. But be clear about the strategy behind these relationships. If it's a very strategic one, then fine. Maybe it is a solid partnership. I'll tell you, they do have some decent partnerships and they do have some great relationships, as can be seen. Okay, for their size and what they're trying to achieve, it seems to be good. Okay, so let's keep on going now. We have the footer, which usually contains a lot of good links. So the X, we're going to talk about their X, Discord, Telegram, Instagram, YouTube, and Medium, all of which we're going to touch base on very slightly, because again, we're going to do a full-on deep dive. This deep dive is a crypto deep dive, Web3 deep dive, right? Not necessarily a tech deep dive. So we're going to talk about all those little features and those little requirements that could make a project bullish. Okay, so you have cards. I'm not going to get into all the cards, guys, because again, this is not an infomercial. They have cards. They have silver, carbon, and black versions, each one of which are going to have different features, benefits, and so on and so forth. So they have cards, different products, payroll, DPIM, and for business, which we'll talk about, and then the staking in governments and their tokenomics, all of which we're going to talk about. Okay, so all good stuff. The company, both the team, guys, it's going to be a big one. Okay, so let's get going. Their mission, I think this is a good place to start, because what are they about? Now, they did do a rebrand. Okay, and we'll talk about the rebrand when we talk about the team in a second. But and they do a rebrand that gave Zebec Network more features and so on and so forth. And since then, they've been under this different branding. So just keep that in mind. We build blockchain-powered financial products that transform how people live and work. So as we scroll down, a little bit more of those metrics, as you can see, power operating worldwide. This is where their distribution, they're all over the place. This is what they're saying: San Francisco, London, New York. Our family of companies. This is where things get interesting, because what they're trying to paint here is a picture of an ecosystem that is beyond Zebec, right? And they're getting support within their family of companies. So we enable real world value. So this is where they tap into the real world concept, which for me personally, guys, I still don't see the real world aspect of the narrative within Zebec. We have to be careful here, because we've seen a lot of projects in the past jump on bandwagons of bullish narratives and put the strategic vocabulary in order to qualify to be part of particular narratives. Now, real world value flows with blockchain powered payroll, cards, and payments. So what they're trying to say perhaps here is that because Zebec offers software solutions that can be used in the real world regarding payments and payroll, therefore it qualifies for the real world asset narrative. Guys, it is a gray area here. Okay, it's a stretch in my opinion. Again, not I'm not trying to fund anything or anything. I'm just trying to be real. This is a little bit of a stretch to be tapping into the real world asset narrative if that is their intention with this vocabulary. Gate Knox tech stack simplifies compliance for digital finance, offering scalable identity infrastructure built in Web3. So there's a lot of different things here. You got payroll growth partners, so investment from Zebec invests in leading payroll companies. Payroll PayBridge, a leader in payroll, and again more of that. Addition of school payroll services, okay, and Science Card, the UK academia-based card platform that channels a portion of every transaction to fund university research. And then Zebec Technologies is the UK arm of Zebec. So what does this mean? It means like it's probably a company that they run a lot of their business side of things, roll out Zebec's programmable payroll payments and compliance solutions across European markets. So you can see they have a bit of a network within a few companies that are internal, and it seems good, no doubt, but they seem like just scratching the surface as to major players. Okay, so we're there, we're doing good. We'd like to see this action again, more relationships here, and global compliance framework, which we're going to talk about because that's a big thing here for Zebec, is being globally compliant is going to open up the network effect for sure. Okay, so let's move on. Let's go on to the next page here. Send your crypto anytime, anywhere. So again, back to the cards, you can see the different cards: silver, carbon black, different features, different things, all powered by MasterCard. 18 chains, you across the different chains, very interoperable here, so that's good. And then the Zebec super app coming soon. It's on their roadmap, so to speak. So in this case, this is something that might be useful. It is a software solution, a utility that can be used if you're participating within the Zebec network. Okay, so good stuff there. Just trying to get an idea of what they're about and what their products are. Real-time payroll gets paid by the second. So through our continuous payment technology, we are changing the way you get paid. Spend, save, invest your pay. Okay, so that's that. Stablecoin payroll for enterprise and employees. So in this case, offering software solutions to businesses that want to pay employees and get paid, employees that want to get paid in crypto. Employers can now open, pause, or adjust the streams at any time. So there's different features. I'm not going to get through all of it, guys, but you can see they offer different features: fewer holdups, fewer errors, encrypted and distributed, sent to a wallet of your choice, off ramp to your bank account. So this is what they're offering: various different features for employers and employees to participate. Okay, so value proposition, and then the super app is coming soon. When, we don't know at the current moment. It's coming soon. Let's keep on going, guys. I'm hammering through this. Hopefully we're getting a nice picture here. Our core solutions for modern enterprises. So they also have business solutions. Okay, so again, back to the payroll for business. I know a little bit of repetition, but it is what it is what they got on their website. Bespoke crypto cards built for your brand. I don't know if anybody cares, but ultimately, if you're a business or you're, you want to have some, or some sort of identity of some sort, you want to have a bespoke card where you can see those little features. Yeah, obviously it looks pretty cool, but it is what it is. That's just pure marketing. And then we got a couple of testimonials here by some CEOs, founder, World Mobile, and so on. Base, I don't know. Okay, cool there. Why choose Zebec for business? In real life, utility solutions, exactly what I expected. In real life. So because you can use this in real life, they're going to try to, tap into that real world asset or real world narrative, which is fine. Obviously we want to be able to use these things in the real world, no doubt. It's not just about, online only. We want to be able to take our assets to the coffee shop, supercharge engagement, boost your brand, attract new fans. Okay, good stuff there. So a little bit of a business solution based on the ability for business to pay their employees. Okay, now where things get interesting is this a Z-pin, or if you want to call it D-pin protocol thing that they got going on, that is based on their transactional point of pay, point of yeah, basically their system, the POS system, right? Point of sale. So in this case, their ZPIN powered point of sale system accepts crypto payments seamlessly integrated with Zebec infrastructure and next gen payroll technology. So they got these terminals where you can go and again pay and get all involved there. Now live at selected small and medium businesses in the United States. So they got them already rolling out, seeing how they work. You can see there's some participation there, but it's very, very vague. I'll be honest, there's not much here. I don't know of any more than this. This is all we really got as far as information. How many, which ones, what's their transactional volume? I'm not seeing much here. Maybe there's another source, but all I see is get your card, and that's about it. Okay, so let's move on. That's pretty cool. And trust, security, and innovation. Gate Knox unlocking compliance superpower. So we got here the compliance and identity platforms. Zebec brought a native know your customer KYC, know your business KYB. These are very, very common things nowadays, particularly if you want to be fully compliant globally, Europe and all over the place. Anti-money laundering AML infrastructure is directly in the Zebec infrastructure, unlocking new growth and regulated enterprise grade markets. So a lot of things can be said here, because if they're looking for compliance, they're looking for frictionless adoption. Now, if this is your thing, if you like projects that are looking for complete compliance, guys, this is the vision. This is the roadmap that you want to see, right? Now, if you're the individual that's like a freedom fighter that doesn't want compliance, that doesn't want all these, institutions involved into the way we regulate our money, then maybe this is not a bullish thing. Maybe this is something that does not interest you. Well, you got to choose which side of the camp you're on, or you can say, you know what, it doesn't matter. I believe that this could be a viable option, where we get compliant with different regulators across the world. And obviously, we want mass adoption. So that's the path of least resistance. And I want a bit of an allocation in a company, in a software solution that is trying to approach that in this way, basically obtaining full compliance. So Zebec is committed to meeting the highest security and regulatory standards worldwide. They already got the SOC 2, they got the MICA, and they're in progress. They got the FCA, and the ISO is in progress. So this is where they're at, guys. They're 50% complete, more or less, the roadmap as far as compliance. And if this is something that's interesting to you, then what happens is that you have upside potential based on all these milestones being hit. Now, of course, everybody's expecting it to be hit, and for that reason, the price might already have adjusted itself to include these milestones being hit. So all we have to do now is just hope that Zebec continues with their roadmap and hits these milestones, because if not, investors won't be very happy. So let's just keep an eye on all of this, because this is good. Okay, our commitment: real world payroll, again, no shortcuts, AI powered screening, again, a little bit of AI powered tools. Guys, the AI narrative, it's inevitable that the narrative itself, to be a complete AI project is one thing, but to also expect projects that are not focused completely on AI to pepper in AI tools, guys, it's an expectation. You should expect this, and this is something that I'm adjusting to mentally as well as I do my deep dives. It is that everything can tap into the real world, and everything can tap into the AI. Why? Because obviously we need real world. That's the truth, and we have tools that are AI generated and that are very useful, and that ultimately can give us real strength in how we use the tools. So in this case, we have to pay attention to the opportunities, because these opportunities can give us upside potential. So let's keep on going download and verify. So you can see access our SOC 2 report, different reports that are readily available for your critique and for your reading and for your knowledge and understanding. All right, so let's move on. I'm going to get into a little bit of the DAO. Let's talk about the DAO, and then we'll look at documentation, because this project is well documented in another way, in the Gitbook style. So we'll talk about that. I just like the visuals of the websites and all these other pages. So there is a DAO. Okay, so there is a DAO, and as of now, the DAO doesn't seem to be very active. Okay, Zebec Network Roadmap 2025. This is where they have two proposals, unfortunately, only two. And then I start to wonder, okay, what is the DAO? What is the DAO really doing here? There's no DAO at this current moment. This is not enough to qualify for a DAO. It's a year ago, ended a year ago, so there's no activity, unfortunately. And if you go on further, this is the Realms. This is their management platform. Again, the two proposals here. They're both completed a year ago. And since then, it seems like the DAO is not active. Very unfortunate. So, what are token holders waiting for? Like, what are they cooking? What is happening here? And in a scenario where you have a DAO, you start to question, what does the roadmap look like? What are they working on? And this is important because from the roadmap perspective, there's a little bit more details that's necessary. We'll talk about all of this in a second. So I'm just telling you right now, they do claim to have a DAO, and they seem to have a DAO infrastructure, but it's not active. Nobody's using it. There's no proposals, and I don't even know if this is something that is being maintained at this current moment after a year. Like, is it dead? Is this the old? Is this part of the old rebrand, or is this something that we got to wait for? I don't know, guys. There's not enough here. And unfortunately, it was very hard to get a hold of any team members on the socials to answer any questions. Okay, we'll talk about the socials in a second. Let's talk about some of this. We got the Michael white paper that I just spoke about. If you want to look about some of the documentation regarding that, feel free to check it out. I'm not going to get into this much detail. This deep dive will be 5 hours long. We got the white paper. Again, this is a typical white paper, March 2025. So we're getting it, it's there. It's getting a little old, but it is what it is. A bit of an update would be good. And as you keep on coming down, you see that they have their mission. They have very typical details that a white paper may have. The only concern for me is that it's outdated, right? Because there's not much happening here. Now, there is a section where they talk about their roadmap. Let's see if we can find the products and applications. We talked about a lot of this. I'm trying to make this deep dive not redundant and too much. Repetition. The governance, as you can see, that's all you really got here. Stake, okay, if you stake, you can, governance at its core. Honestly, guys, there's nothing happening there. Their token distribution, the tokenomics, we'll talk about that for sure in a second, because really it doesn't really affect too much, because from a tokenomics perspective, the tokens are almost all in full distribution. Okay, so their vesting is pretty much done. So what you really have to ask yourself is, based on what happened here, where could the tokens all be? And again, we're going to touch on this in a moment. So let's just leave this alone for a second. And I just want to look at the DAO governance process. They have a really unique way. It's like a hybrid governance scenario. There are typically allotted to a 24-hour to 7-day voting period, during which, so basically they have like this scenario where government is transparent, inclusive, and permits sufficient time. Okay, that's fine. Vote for against the proposals with simple majority. Proposals is consistent pass. So yeah, it's a scenario where you get a lot of consultation from different parties, and then it gets placed through a vote. Again, I can't see this thing in action because nothing is really happening. So their hybrid model is interesting, but without actual implementation, it's just fairy tales. I really don't know what's going on here. The Zebec DAO operates under a hybrid governance model, merging on-chain and off-chain decisions making. This approach leverages the blockchain's transparency. As you can see, well documented. I get it, but where is it at? ZBCN's governance combines token holders, direct on-chain voting. I don't see any of this being implemented or active, unfortunately. Tokenomics and utility, we'll talk about this. Let's might as well touch upon here. You can see they have IRL utility. Again, guys, real life, of course, you want to be able to use it at the coffee shop. Staking, collateral for DeFi and providing liquidity to different projects that are being built. Buyback program, buying back and potentially burning transaction fees being burnt there's a burning mechanism. Again, very little detail on a lot of these things, but it is what it is. Rewards in the network, of course, if you're staking, if you're active, apparently you'll get some rewards. Grants for ecosystem contributors. Again, if you're a developer, if you want to get involved, I'm sure there's some way to, grease some wheels there and get active. So, generally speaking, guys, beyond governance and participation in influencing the priority of Zebec's business ventures, the ZBCN token has significant utility in the real world. Again, this real world concept. Again, buybacks, community, treasury, rewards, and staking. These are the 3 or 5 pillars. Majority of them for me. Community, it's pretty, its tokenomics were really split between community and early stakeholders, about 50-50. Do the math here. You can see, let me see where that chart is that the community and the rest of it is early stakeholders. And because tokenomics now is pretty much fully diluted, you're at a level of which you're left thinking about who are the main token holders still after all of this distribution, because they're pretty much in distribution. Okay, guys. So tokenomics become easier in this case, but they also become a little bit of forensics. You kind of like be an investigator at this point, and there's no transparency as to which wallets belong to the team, the treasury. There's none of that. Okay, so unfortunate, and even the roadmap, there's no dates. There's no. This is a year old. I don't know where they're at with the Z pin. I don't know if they've reached any milestones in their vaults as far as providing, treasury for on-chain organizations. This is something that they offer. Very little details there, but it is what it is. And again, the roadmap for 2025 has been there. Many milestones have already been hit, but what about 2026? It's around the corner, guys. Get cooking. This is the time to promote your roadmap. Every project in this space at this current moment should be promoting their 2026 roadmap. Even if it's already been issued months ago, it doesn't matter. Bring it back to life. This is what they should be doing. This is the opportunity. Marketing individuals in marketing teams right now should be on their toes, ready to run. And unfortunately, I don't see many. Appendices, lots of different words here if you want to learn. Okay, so what we did here is we went through their white paper, their text-based white paper. And it seems to be really good. A lot of little details. And I know I skimmed through some of them. This is really not very important because, again, everything's pretty much in distribution. I'm trying to really isolate what's really important. And I'll show you why it's not important in a second based on their vesting. There are different applications. There are different things. Okay, let's put that on hold. If we need to come back and revisit, I have no problem doing that because, of course, we're trying to piece things together as best as we can as we bounce around all this documentation. Okay, so it's super important that we be a little bit fluid here as well, flexible. Let's move on. This is a Git book. Okay, so I like this. I've seen that there was a lot of information that we have already covered. The website is the website. The website did a pretty good job. As far as the last 2 white papers, did pretty good job as well. Now, this is a type of documentation that I like primarily because everything should be nice and clear here on the Git book, and it should be up to date. As you can see, Zebec network, a lot of information, except the wallet addresses that hold tokens. Okay, that for me is a big problem. If you want to be really transparent, I got to know where your tokens are at. Foundation tokens, team, early allocators. If you're a team member and you're getting paid, you need to be fully transparent, right? And this is the thing. Of course, from a personal perspective, I get it. You want to keep your assets, basically private. The reality is that at this current moment, we're afraid of one individual or 2 holding the majority of the tokens. This is what we have to kind of investigate, and we'll talk about that in a second. Migration guide. This is when it transferred from ZBC to ZBCN. Zebec network paper. We talked about this already. The tokenomics. You can see that they had their vesting schedule prior to the rebrand, and this is all old information, right? The governance model is a hybrid model. We talked about that. So merging off and on chain, guys, I don't know how that would work out. So basically, the approach leverages blockchain transparency and immutability alongside the adaptability of traditional governance. That bothers me, okay? Because traditionally, we don't like anything to do with traditional. We're tired of traditional, right? We want something new. But so what they're trying to say is that so their governance combines the holders direct on-chain with exclusive off-chain. Okay, get to the point. So proposal vetting and informal consensus building across various formats, forums, and social channels. So first, you kind of get involved in all these different, like, let's call them Web 2 traditional ways of getting together as people, board members going for coffee. And then, as they see popularity and ideas, who makes some sort of decision? I don't know who makes the decision. And then it gets put on the governance for voting. I look, that doesn't make sense to me. I don't know how that works. There's no necessity for that extra step, in my opinion. Okay, so again, I don't know how that works. This whole sentence needs to be cleared, or else it sounds kind of funky to me. Getting to governance is the hard part in this case. That's the choke point, because who makes the decision as to how it gets put on the list? I don't get it. So more of a governance process. Community members initiate ideas for proposals on forums and social channels. Investors and participants but put forward proposals for consideration. How and who considers them? Off-chain activities such as briefing, discussions, and debates. Guys, I honestly don't understand. I've never seen any crypto project that considers itself to have a DAO and governance to consider this governance. This is not governance. This is weird. Okay, so either it needs to be very clear and redefined. And because I read this many times, and again, I've done 130 deep dives. Okay, and I have them all documented, and I've never seen governance in this way. Okay, so either this is Web 3 or this is Web 2. You're trying to make a hybrid model. There, you're going to lose a few people, including myself. Okay, unless there's something I'm missing, guys, please let me know in the comment section if I'm missing something. ZBCN token utility, we talked about that. Native collateral. So ZBCN can be used as native asset liquidity or collateral to participate for applications built within the network. So as the ecosystem grows, those ecosystem projects are going to need liquidity. They're going to need capital. So in this case, ZBCN can provide that solution, be there for the liquidity. Incentives for ZBCN holders, of course, there's going to be rewards and so on and so forth. Guys, feel free to read this. I think it's viable. I think it's worth your time to get through all of this. Airdrops, fees, and 2024 and beyond. I think this is beyond. This is updated a year ago. Come on, guys, let's get cooking. This is the most important document, in my opinion. The website is important, no doubt, and it's well done. I'm going to give them that. It's well done. It may need an update, and if it does, it's on them. If I misinterpreted or did not get the information I needed from that website, it's on them. But this is clearly outdated. Okay, clearly based on the update, and that's why I like Gitbooks. Accountability for what you say, so things are not fairy tales. Putting posts on X is a fairy tale. It's not enough. Right? It's not enough. Okay, we need to have it in writing. That's how things are done in reality. Okay, in real world. Getting started. Do we really need to get started? Not really. This is good. Benefits, deposits, starting fine. The Zebec Solana SDK. So this is good. If you're a dev, you probably understand what's going on here. They have a development kit for Solana. Okay, so allowing the interoperability. The silver card, if you want to know more about the credit cards and so on, not the credit cards, but the cards itself, so that you can spend crypto. The bridge, lots of information here for EVM, Solana, and so on. So good stuff there. Near protocol, guys, that's pretty good. A massive AI project, having that interoperability to create create instance, initialize stream, pause, resume, withdraw, cancel, and update. Lots of good functions available to you if you want to get on that. And multi-sig and many other things, as you can see. And then the Zebec EVM in itself. Now, I'm curious about this because they also have their own SDK and their client stream, and lots of little details here. If you're a developer and you want to get involved, as you can see, Zaps compatibility, pretty good. Okay, so I'm not going to get into too much there. So to summarize, it is a full-on payments banking network. Okay, and what they're trying to offer here are software solutions for employees, employers, consumers, and customers. that basically want to spend and get paid in crypto. Okay, that's what I see here in the real world. Okay, hopefully, I summarized that well. Now, as far as their achievements go, they're still young. We got to be real about that. They're still young. Okay, and they got great relationships and so on. We'll summarize towards the end. Now let's take a look at their tokenomics for a second, and this is why I wanted to make sure I spoke about this, because a lot of people are looking at their distribution, and you can see their distribution. Majority of it was for the community and rewards, about 50%. The rest of it was early contributors, private round, seed round, public sale, and market making. Guys, those are all early stakeholder type of people, which got early allocations, and those are going to be your threats, threat to the sell pressure. And you know, so to speak, we have to understand is that those times, in my opinion, are over, given the fact that the majority of the tokens are already in circulation. As you can see, these already got in full release. All we're waiting for is a few more community tokens, right? So the majority of the tokens, again, are in release. So good stuff, no real risk of dilution, right? Right. But there's an issue. And again, guys, this is all up to the team. This is not a fabrication. This is not FUD. This is the reality. If the team wanted us to feel comfortable, they would have addressed this in their white paper or in their Gitbook. Whose wallet is this? Where does this belong? I tried to contact the team. I wanted to know who or what or which identity is in control of this wallet right here. That wallet holds 21.6% of the tokens, and that's quite a bit. And you can see that they're also related to a few other little ones. And if you add up all of these other ones, I don't know really where they come from. It seems like their foundation wallet. It's a foundation wallet or a team wallet or some sort project that is run by the project. Why? Because if you follow all the other red ones, right? They're hot wallets to OKX. They're hot wallets to other exchanges, gates, and so on. So it seems like this is the wallet that provides liquidity to exchanges. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the team should be putting this on their white paper to say this wallet with this address belongs to the foundation or belongs to this or this provision or that. It's 21%, guys. That's a lot. Okay, who controls it? Is it behind the multisig? Does that even really matter nowadays? It's up to you to decide, right? Is it a third party held in custody on a custody in a third party of some sort? I don't know. Really, I'm left in the dark here. So again, if the team wants to provide that transparency, it's very easy. Very, very easy to define this wallet on the Gitbook. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there. You make your decision. Is this still okay? Are you comfortable with this or not? The other wallets are a little bit big too, but we know this is a hot wallet for crypto.com. This is another 8%, which I don't know. Another 7, I don't know. And they start to add up. If you add up all these, okay, forget the crypto.com. We know it's liquidity. This one I don't know, this one I don't know. And then they start to get really small. So the big elephant in the room is the 21.63%. Okay, it is what it is, guys. I'm just calling it out as it is. All right, so let's take a look at their socials real quick. We're talking about a decentralized infrastructure network for seamless flows of real world value. Fair. You know, now that I'm starting to really understand and really read through it, I think that we all can come to the conclusion that their main focus is to provide real world utility, fine, but from a payments perspective so that it can replace traditional ways of interacting or sending or transacting value, right? So fine. Zebec network, AI-based PayFi and real-world assets. See, this is where things I get lost. This AI-based PayFi, absolutely not. I don't know why this would be here. Redefine yourselves, guys. Stick with what you're good at. I think that this is a bit of a problem. Again, this is my opinion, guys. I don't see the language here appropriate in my book. Because I went through all of it and I don't see how it's an AI based or real world assets is particularly for the Web3, how we define it here in Web3. Could it be a sub narrative, you know, because again, we're looking for payments in the real world. Maybe it's a sub narrative of real world asset. I could be wrong. Who knows, right? We're still here in the wild, wild west. But there's so much more that actually represents Zebec much better than this, in my opinion. That's more valuable than this, in my opinion. Again, let's move on. We got the pin comment. This should be the most important. Q3 was all momentum. From the major listings and record trading to new institutional partners, compliance milestones. We talked about that. It's true. They've done pretty good. Q4 is already in full swing, and next a few weeks will set the tone for 2026. Let's see what happens here, guys. This was posted November 10th. We're well into November already. Obviously, getting into December, guys. It is what it is. The market's been struggling, so it's not just exclusive to Zebec. Let's keep on moving down. St. Louis got a little colder last night. Okay, you can see that they got some good yeah, you can see some good promotion there. St. Louis Blues jersey giveaway. Okay, they're getting their marketing going. That's pretty good. Happy Thanksgiving for Zebec team. Nice to see them there. Social Ghostware. What is this? Zebec's originally built on chain, backed by Solana. That's good to see Solana ecosystem projects and stuff. The global payroll system is being rebuilt in real time. I agree. I agree that there's definitely opportunity there. Does Zebec have that opportunity to be the first mover? The card dash partners with Zebec. Again, be careful with these partners. But this is good. We're happy to announce the new partnership. Okay, November 25th. I must have missed this one. Privately spend your dash. Okay, guys, this is pretty cool. Now they got me interested. Letting you live off dash fully while continue the round. Okay, to round out the rest of your spending on. That's not bad, guys. That's pretty good. We know we need a bit of privacy here in our lives, so I'm curious as to how this works. Maybe this is a bit of an update in the future on this deep dive. Dash, that's a good one, guys. That's a very, very good one. I must have missed that one because it takes me a couple of days to really understand the project and read everything to make sure that everything's good. So maybe I should have put that in there, but all good. I'm happy that we were able to touch upon that. Let's see. Okay, ISO. This is important because they're looking for compliance, and a bit of a talk here by who's this? I can't recognize the face. 2 years ago, companies, I think the CEO anyways, or one of the founders. Yeah, so let's move on. Zebec, National Payment Corporation. Okay, so lots of good stuff here on socials. They're active, as you can see. Good engagement for their size, as you can see. Look at this, guys. 800, 500. And you guys know I do these all the time. This is a lot of engagement for such a small account. Okay, I've never seen such a look at the account. It's only 276,000 followers, and each of their posts are 1,800. Okay, this one was 300, but it's new. Look at that, guys. Look at this. That's engagement. So there's a bit of a disconnect there because I've never seen this before. Okay, just to throw small community, relative to the amount of engagement, or is it a powerful community? Now we got to talk about community for a second, because the community is bullish, no doubt. We'll talk about the community in the socials a little bit more. Let's stick here with the X posts. Lots of good partners, like I said. Uphold institutional guys, just to kind of run through a few here because there's a lot of them. Coda Pay, okay, like good stuff, small but good. Relationships, and again the Uphold thing is a great, and Coda Pay, lots of good stuff here. We got buybacks and so on happening, so really good stuff. Even got what's going on here, Nero, memes even involved here on Zebec. Okay, pretty cool. All right, so as you guys know, I also go on the socials, and I'm going to tell you guys their socials need a little bit of help, and the reason being is because I was on their Discord and I try to get on their Telegram, and there's no presence of the team, unfortunately. Very little presence of the team, which means that there's a lot of scamming happening, a lot of scammers, and there's no real community. Very dead, very quiet, nothing happening. And then when I look at their X posts, there's so much engagement, so many likes and so on. There's a bit of a disconnect there. Why is there such a disparity? Is it that their community is not active on their social, on their within their communities, meaning on their Discords and Telegrams, and just on X? It could be the case, but that's not usual. Guys know that I'm also on socials, and usually when you have a strong community, they're still with you on other platforms. It's not like they don't, right? So that kind of bothers me, but it is what it is. I try to ask questions. I try to engage with somebody from the team. I try to call somebody out, and nobody answered, nobody cared, and I had questions that I would love to dig deeper in, but that the documentation didn't really provide, just the reassurance and the clarity behind some of the statements. It is what it is. They need a little bit of work there from social engagement perspective, in my book. Not from X, because it seems like X is doing good, but that disconnect still bothers me. Now, if you look at their Medium page, it seems abandoned. The last post was from August 5th. That's not appropriate. Let's give them a follow anyway. You got to really keep it up or don't have it at all. That's my idea here. Either commit or don't do it. That's my thing. So it is what it is. Seems a little bit abandoned. And then from the team perspective, I just want to spend a moment here and talking about the rebrand and the team and the fact that there's still some, we could call it FUD. We could call it FUD. Again, I'm not going to choose a side here. It's not about that. But there are individuals that are still calling out the old team. Okay. Now, again, I just got introduced to the new rebrand of Zebec. I didn't even follow Zebec in its old state. It never caught my attention. I never was interested. Right. But right now, people that have been with them since the old rebrand, the old branding, and the old team are basically saying that the old team was a scam team, and that this team has direct connections. Now, again, guys, do your due diligence. I don't know if this is fact, if this is fiction, if this is just emotional, if this is FUD. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there that this is what is circulating on the socials within communities. Okay. Now, as far as this team goes, what I can see here, they're fully doxxed. So they're willing to spearhead any accusations, which I appreciate, because that's the only way you're going to do it, is you got to spearhead accusations and address them as they come. You have the CEO, CTO, CMO, and we'll talk about some of these dudes and dudettes in a second. And you can see they even have advisors, some big names here. Of course, meaning this dude right here was all over the place on Gate Knox, Science Card. These are some of the internal projects that we talked about within their ecosystem. So co-founder, Strata Global. So we got some people, heavyweights. But the truth is this: it's a very small team, and it's a very young team. And I'm not talking about age. I'm talking about in their experience within Web3. Okay, as an individual that's been around since 2017, obviously they haven't made their mark yet. Let's put it that way. They're not, staples in the industry. However, there's no doubt in my mind that if they can succeed here, they will become staples. And this is called speculation. Do you feel that this team has the power to become part of the main, core developing teams of crypto altogether? And it could be. We could be looking at the future of crypto right here. So this is up to you to really kind of dig into there. And again, these are the same people that I'm talking about. We have this dude right here is the one that's getting a little bit of flack at the current moment. Again, I'm not gonna justify it or get into any details regarding that. Guys, you have to do that research. But I did a little bit on their LinkedIn. This is their LinkedIn. They only have 22 associate members, very small team. Okay, from Nepal, majority is from Nepal, 7 from the United States, and a lot from Nepal and the United Kingdom. As you can see, small team. And some of the Zebec protocol or Zebec network. Is it a protocol? Is it a network? It doesn't matter. Ultimately, they're there. So let's take a look at some of them. We have this dude right here, Web3 tech strategist. This is where the talent, software engineer, as ASMI. That's his history, and you can see he's the core dev at Zebec, full time at the protocol for 4.5 years, more or less. Okay, so he's definitely the man of the match here when it comes to creating the tech. This is my understanding. And then we go on to Sam T. I see his experience, 4 years, and then Menlo College, and that's it. There's nothing here. He seems like perhaps a venture capitalist. I don't see angel investing. That's exactly it. He just comes in with a bit of money, maybe. I don't know. That's all we got here. And then you got this dude right here, Rush Fitness. I don't know. That's where he's at. Rush Fitness full time, co-founder and CEO of this. And that's about it, guys. This is the team that I don't know. I don't see any strength here as far as Web3 goes. Like, it seems young. They may be super ambitious. They may be amazing people. But I don't see anything here telling me that they have the background necessary in order to succeed. And then we have Simon. Let's see what he got here. Founder, managing partner, payroll growth partners. Okay, that was one of the brands that we already seen there on their website, which is fine. Okay, some sort of integration here or relationship that they got. And then Bain Capital in New England. Okay, and then in England and London, and then an advisor, and that's about it. I don't really see again anything related to Web3. So I'm confused here. They are Web 2 VCs. Who's the team behind all of this, guys? I don't know, guys. Am I missing something again? Feel free to let me know. I am open to critique. I try to get through all of these. There's a lot of people here, but I can't really get through. The only talent with regards to Web3 is this dude. And if our money's going on this guy, if our hopes and hopium is going on this guy, on his shoulders, and perhaps the leadership of the other crew members, guys, I don't, with all due respect, is very limited here. And still, a software engineer for video. Video will never be the same. This has nothing to do with Web3. I could be wrong here, guys, but again, please do your due diligence. Now that we talked about all this, as you guys know, I have a summary for you. So let's talk about the summary. Let me just quickly arrange this properly so you can see this beautifully right in the screen. We have Zebec, ZBCN is the ticker. And it's an interesting project. It's one of those that you want to be bullish on. When I started the deep dive, I'm like, look, I want to be bullish on this. It looks good. People are loving it. What is making people love it? And I know what make people love it. And I know what might make people not like it. So let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugliness for a second here. Ecosystem, 10 out of 10. So why do I say that? Well, their ideas and what they've built, and what they have going within their ecosystem, whether it's working or not, it's all dependent on their roadmap. This is why I try to, layer this, because their ecosystem is dependent on payroll, the card, the vault, which is that multi-sig scenario, and the instant, which is basically the payment structure, the instant payments. Okay, that's one of their documents, one of their white papers call it Zebec instant. Okay, by now maybe they've changed the vocabulary. I don't know, but that's what that means. Ultimately, it's 10 out of 10. Okay, that's very interesting. That's really good. It's well established. It's well thought. Everything here suggests that they've thought about how to implement an appropriate ecosystem to achieve their goal. Okay, good. Utility. Okay, not bad as well. Now they have payment flows in and out. Okay, we've talked about coming in through getting paid from your employer, and employees getting paid, and out through their cards and so on. So I try to make it, connect. The utility has to connect to the ecosystem. So what do you use the token for? To manage the payment flows. DAO governance. Okay, that's another thing that's there, but is not active. It is there. It's kind of active because you got two proposals, but two proposals in years is what's going on? Like something's not happening there, or am I missing something? Was I missing a link? Like this is the problem: is that if it's not on the website and it's not clear, it's up to the team to make things clear. Gas fee. Okay, there's a bit of a gas fee there. That's what it's used for. Liquidity for ecosystem project and holder rewards. So it is good. The utility is there. And again, what bothers me is the governance is not being used. So is it the token that's not being used? Not necessarily. Maybe it's there or not there. Guys, there's a bit of gray. Maybe I should have gave it a 9 out of 10. What can I say? Okay, try to give them the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes that is shooting yourself in the foot, but I try my best here to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly in the most respectful ways possible. Okay, so let's talk about the roadmap. The roadmap doesn't have much because they've met a lot of their milestones in 2025, so that's good. The compliance roadmap is there. They still have a few more in progress, so which is good because then you can see upside potential, right? 4 in this case might be to your advantage because once you see them fully compliant with the FCA and the ISO, maybe they're going to be a 10 out of 10 by that time. So maybe you have to look at this as an opportunity. And that's why these numbers don't necessarily mean a bad thing. Okay, sometimes obviously you got to take it as it is. Maybe it is a bad thing. But in this case, there's still progress. And the roadmap not being up to date and a roadmap, like I mentioned. Now that we're entering the new year, guys, every single team should be posting and updating their roadmap on their Git books, and they should be promoting it all over socials. Now, what does a roadmap entail? Some sort of list that defines maybe quarterly milestones. Doesn't have to be daily, like, to the exact minute. Quarterly. By the end of this quarter, we want to have this. This is where we're focusing our human capital and our financial resources, our actual financial capital. That's what we want to know as investors, right? Now, of course, a lot of times those milestones don't get met, and then investors kind of, get all worried and they sell based on the fear and all that kind of stuff. And I understand why teams don't want to have that accountability. I get it, but it's very useful. It's beneficial. It shows accountability, shows strength and commitment. You have to choose if that's going to be you. Team. The team is doxed, which is good. Small and young team. Like I mentioned, it doesn't mean that they're young in age. It means that their experience seems to be very limited. Okay, there's some in Web3, but limited. Like I don't, especially the core team, like the core high level associates. I don't see their history in crypto. I don't see their history in Web3. I don't know where their education doesn't really tie up with what they're trying to achieve. I don't see any reason that the team is qualified to run a project like this other than hiring talent, which is valid. Guys, if they're going to hire the correct talent and they're just going to run it as a business, that's totally fine. But I have a problem with that because Web3 is a very, very unique industry. And without understanding the way this industry works, are they going to make the right calls at the right time? That's my concern. Okay. And this is where a smart founder will put in place a CEO that is completely Web3 centric and will make that individual the face of the project. And the founder steps back and let that face of the project spearhead the industry. That is a much more viable solution than just to put your face up there and say, I'm part of the team and you're a VC. Who cares if you're an angel investor? Who cares if you have this degree and this and that? Nobody cares, right? That's my opinion. So at this point, either I am not getting the information I need on their LinkedIn accounts, or they just need to really restructure themselves and present themselves in a better way. Again, I'm trying to be very real with you guys as best as I can. Their socials, they got they got a small amount of followers, 270,000, 75,000 followers on X, with strong engagement, which is kind of, interesting given the fact that they got so much engagement without an active presence on other socials like Discord or Telegram. Guys, this is crypto. A crypto community, they live on Discord and Telegrams. If you're a degenerate, most likely you're on a Telegram. If you're want a more of a stable community, Discord's a little bit where you're going to find that. Both of them they're not active with no team presence whatsoever. Lots of scamming happening on those. I logged in, said hello. I got all kinds of scammers, unfortunately. So this is the thing. How can they be getting such engagement on our X account without having an actual community? Am I lost here? Is there something I'm missing? Did I log into the wrong Discord? I use the ones that are on their website, the links that were on their website. It is what it is. Blogs are unkept. They're over a year old. There's nothing there. What can I say, guys? 4 out of 10. Tokenomics, they have a burn mechanism with no detail. They say we'll burn some of the fees. Who knows how many, when, how? Is it based on governance? Their governance is a little bit off. There's nobody using it, or is it dead? I don't know. They're almost fully diluted. That's good news, right? And the top wallet holds 21.6% or something like that of the supply, without knowing who that wallet belongs to. That's tough, guys. And I'm being generous here, in my opinion, with the 8 out of 10 because it's fully diluted. So in that case, the only worry that you have is that 21%. And it can be easily rectified. And maybe they did make a statement about this somewhere on socials, who knows where, but it's not documented in black and white, which makes it official, right? And it's hard to find all these little statements all over the socials. You have to consolidate all your communications into a proper document so everybody's comfortable and clear. They need to get somebody that knows how to market to Web3. This is the reality, guys. And you guys know this is what I do for a living. And you know, I've never seen a project like this. Just a little bit everywhere with regards to its marketing and its team presence and its social, and which is a big part, because you can see their tech is good. Like their idea is there. Everything, the relationships, guys, 10 out of 10. Like everywhere where it matters from a tech perspective, for the most part, they hit good. Like GateKnox, Payroll Growth Partners, PayBridge, Science Card. Those are all those internal relationships that they got. Mastercard, Douchebank, they got Uphold. These are great relationships. Many small strategic relationships for their size. They're perfect. This is where you see them cooking, and I appreciate it. No one can deny that, right? This is good. And then your exchanges. It's okay if it's 4 out of 10. That's an opportunity. Are you going to wait for the Coinbase and Binance listing? Or are you going to get in now where they're not listed, and then when they list, they pump? Now is the time to say, you know what? They got in on, some B tier, some, B tier, C tier exchanges, right? A lot of others, smaller ones. They're on BitNext, which is good, guys. I have links in the description if you want to use BitNext, a great exchange. But you know what I mean here, guys. Like, you can take these numbers as an opportunity or as a flaw. Some of them, unfortunately, unless the team, is not documented properly and their docsness is not proper, maybe that's also an opportunity. What do I know? But, there's some things that need to be really clarified. It is a very small project, and they should be putting a lot of effort at this current moment and making things transparent and clean and clear. And as their market cap is only 303 million, right around 300 million, guys, because based on the fluctuations in the last, 24 hours, 48 hours, you got to understand these numbers will have changed a little bit. But you can see that the supply, they're pretty much 95% in full circulation, which means that the issuing of tokens in circulation is not going to cause that much dilution. The only threat that they have from a tokenomics perspective is that 21% of the tokens held in that wallet. That's about it at the current moment. So if we can rectify that, you know, everything kind of changes here. The whole idea here changes on this deep dive. This is why it's critical that the teams document and communicate effectively, because people like me are not going to get the information they need. And guess what? I represent the retail investor. Remember when I started this deep dive, guys, I told you that this deep dive would be from a retail perspective. Okay. I'm not here coming out as a institution, right? Mike is a retail like you. Okay. So let's talk about some of this verdict. It's DeFi, it's payments, it's Solana. I am not going to say that it's a real world asset. I'm not going to say it's an AI project, because I know there's some words that define, they try to define it at that. I'm not going to put it in that category. What they are trying to do is make a payments protocol here, a payments network. And that's what it is. That's their core competency. That's their value proposition. And right now, that is where they're trying to get their first mover advantage. Stick with the niche that you're good at. Try not to deviate too much. You confuse people, right? They have AI tools. They're going to have AI tools. Yes, it taps into the real narrative. Yes, it taps into DeepIn because you're going to have, your terminals. I get it. But the truth is, you're a payments network and you're going to be the best at it, right? That's what you got to convince people. Launch in 2022, so it's not a new project. Is that their token swap or their rebranding makes it feel newer, but it's still not even that new. And since the swap, there is a little bit of a split between the old and the new. Okay. Not only that, there's a split between stakeholders and community as well from their tokenomics perspective. You can see that there were 50-50, and then we're left with that big wallet to 21%. Okay, so the rebranding was a big event, in my opinion, the way I see it. I wasn't very aware of it and I didn't follow along, but I can imagine it was a very emotional event because it called out a lot of the old team members, scammers. And, from there, it feels like what they were trying to do is rebrand to kind of like refresh and add more features to their project, which is fine. But then again, this whole FUD is still lingering. And I'm not trying to hash it out again and bring it up, but this is what I got when I started to do research within the crypto community. Guys, it is what it is. It's almost fully diluted, like I mentioned, 95% or so. Top wallet holds 21%. I already mentioned that many, many times. I apologize for that. In the works, Deepin Vision and Super App. Again, that's not part of the roadmap. I don't see it there, but it is in the works. So we got to update that roadmap and explain exactly what's going to be happening there and so on and so forth. But I like the a deep envision, because really those terminals, those POS terminals, are going to be great to, you know, act as a way of increasing the network use. And X likes don't really line up with real-time engagement with the community. What I mean by that is real-time engagement, real active participants in the community are ones that get involved on a platform like Discord or Telegram, right? You go on their Discord or Telegram, it's dead. There's nothing happening there. And then you go on X and there's tons of likes. And relative to their size, it kind of bothers me, right? So are we really there yet? Now, let's talk about the projection. Again, guys, I'm not a fortune teller. I can't tell you the future. I don't know where Zebec is going. I don't know if it's gonna, hit what kind of market cap. I don't know. I can just tell you this. The major player within the payments network right now is Tel. And even Tel is small. They're not even that big. If it would catch up to Tel, it would only do a 1.6x, which is nothing, which is fine. It's gonna, double and then some. I think that even that is a little bit, weak. If Zebec can hit at least $1 billion market cap, why not? It could easily hit 1 cent. I think it's possible, right? I'm trying to be modest here, and from that perspective, what is it, a 3x or so, 3.5, maybe a 4x? I think that's very possible, guys. And if it does achieve that, what you have to be looking at its current market structure on its chart, but it has a little bit of work to do as far as its marketing, its communication. Its tech seems good, but the rest of it needs a little bit of clarity. And this is why I give it 6 out of 10. Unfortunately, it is what it is. I am looking forward to making an update on this once I see some changes. But I'm interested still on Zebec. Okay, it is what it is. All right, guys. I know you're here to talk about charts, so let's begin. Let's see what's going on here with the Zebec chart, because Zebec, at the end of the day, has been doing pretty good. You got to admit, from the times that we've been talking about it on the channel, we ran up pretty good. The price ran up pretty hard. And as you can see, since then, it's been consolidating. Let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. Guys, for me, it's always about looking for floor prices, right? And I call this, a stable coin with the opportunity of a pump. There's a lot of them out there, right? There's a lot of them that go sideways for a good while. Let's measure, right? The sell-off happens. They go sideways for almost 300 days, all right? And then all of a sudden, bang, big move, right? We were just very lucky that, it got my attention right into this level, right at the end. And I'm like, you know what? It's been down here before many, many times. I would be prepared for a sweep down here, which of course happened, but it didn't last very long. And then bang, straight up. Now we're looking at this move as, that was a great move. Did I miss out? Guys, I don't think you missed out on much, because even right now, still not a bad of a moment to buy. Okay, let's talk about the move. Like, how big was it? It ran up almost 700%, 750%. That's pretty crazy. And then from the top all the way to where it is right now, it also retraced from the top all the way to where it is right now. 50% of that came down. So you can imagine you're getting a 50% discount from the top. It isn't a distribution. It does look like a clear distribution. What I mean by that is people are selling. This is an impulse to sell, an impulse to sell. And we're coming down, and we're coming down. And we've hit targets, guys. I put these point of interests, right? This point of interest was here once we ran up. Okay, I just didn't put these in right now. I leave my charts like this documented so I can hold my strategy accountable. I want you guys to hold me accountable to what I say. And look what it did. Guys, I just want to make it clear how the chart respected the points of interest. Now that we've defined these levels very clearly and the range very clearly, what is our next move? Well, I'll tell you this. It came down to this level, reacted, bounced. Came up here, tried to hold, didn't hold, fell back into the range, bounced. Now we got rejected here. My biggest concern is that the market might be looking to hunt liquidity where it matters most. And if you're a trader, you know exactly what I'm going to say next. You're going to say, well, the market looks for liquidity. Liquidity is where? Liquidity is where market participation is, down here, unfortunately. Right? That's where the best opportunity would be to buy, and then looking for people to buy, buy opportunities, right? When the market left, there was lots of, stale orders still hanging around here, ready to be accumulated, bullish bids ready to be accumulated down here. If you cannot make a higher high, what else do you need? If you cannot make a higher high, how do you break through all the sell pressure up here? Well, you need more buyers that are going to hold and not sell. right? So guess what, guys? It looks like what we're trying to do is come down to hunt the bottoms and find bullish bids. And that's what's done. That's what we're doing right now. So the question is, how much more? How much more do we need to hunt? How much lower do we go? When I see these V recoveries, they bother me because V recovery are very, very aggressive buys. And I like them, no doubt, but they usually result in very aggressive sells, right? Market making price action, right? When people go into market orders, they push the price so aggressively that leave a lot of limit orders behind that don't get filled. And usually when that happens, we come back down and we fill those limit orders passively, right? And we get the nice rounded bottom. And that's where, I would love to start playing. When I see the rounded bottoms, guys, it gets me so excited where I start looking at the V recovery rounded bottom, right? It doesn't have to happen like that, but well, I would like to see the type of reaction we get right around this zone, right about where we are here, to be honest. This zone where we are is a level of which we could hold support, okay? And if you look at what's really happening with the market structure here, a higher low right into here with this neckline right around this level, with this imbalance right here, could give the opportunity for another move right back up, and this could give us that little rounded bottom back up to the tops, and we start breaking levels of which are important, which is this volume node. This volume node, based on the range, as you can see, is pretty big, right? This is a very important horizontal structure. So if we can get back above, let me just make this a little bit more formal. I'm putting all this artwork up. So we got one line right here. Let me just get another temporary line. I like to put these temporary lines. Look at this, more or less right here. I'm not going to get too accurate. Let me bring it down a little bit, maybe right around here. That's a little bit better. There's this little range that I can define with lots of volume based on this node. If we can get back above there, right? If we can get the price back above, it would be absolutely epic. However, we can actually use this structure to our advantage, similar to what happened here. V recovery, come back down, confirmation low, higher low, and then break a high, higher highs, and higher lows. If we can break above here, guys, it's time to potentially get in. The problem is that this is local resistance, because if we get rejected here, guys, we can come down and hunt liquidity at lower levels. So it's a bit of a tough case because in the midterm, on the 4-hour time frame, you can see that Zebec is still on a downtrend. You can't deny it. Okay, let me highlight that for you guys right here. Sorry, guys. Right, we're making lower lows. And if we kind of use these, we're making lower highs, right? And we're on a downtrend. There's no doubt about it. Okay. But if you're going to include all of this, we're pretty sideways. It's flagging out, it's structuring, right? So as long as we don't break below 0.002, we didn't confirm an actual lower low on this big structure. If we do, guys, we're coming down to this level here. Okay, that's it. Multiple zeros, 9559. That's where we're coming to hunt liquidity. So really what we need to do is see what happens here. We want to make sure that the bears do not have enough strength to break below this level. Because if they break below right here, this zone right here, if they break below 0.002, guys, it's ugly. We want to get into this zone and kind of see a higher low. I'm going to make this yellow, okay? And I want to see a higher low here. And from there, I would like to see some divergence. So let's see what the oscillators have to show right now here on the 4-hour. Nothing. This thing's in the chop zone, literally going sideways, up and down, up and down. There's no edge. There's no edge here whatsoever. In fact, I could see some bullishness happening right into here. I would see a bullish move right now. That's it. Based on this, push up on the 4-hour and see this thing go reclaim previous highs. It's fair enough to say. Okay, look, the volatility lines pushing up. Momentum looks like it wants to turn to the upside. Maybe got some support in the chop zone. The last attempt didn't get overbought. We're leading into Monday and fresh new week right now. It could be the start of a little bit of a pump throughout the space. Just keep this in mind, okay? Now, if we quickly go back on the daily, we might be able to consolidate some of this noise and say, okay, on the daily though, what are we doing? Like if the 4-hour is pushing up, is this going to Uno reverse and stay up here like it did here? Possible. And if it does do that, guess what happened in this whole moment when momentum and volatility was pushing up? Well, we pushed up hard. Could this be happening right here? V recovery, backtest confirmation low, higher low. V recovery, backtest confirmation, higher low. Expansion to the upside. This moving from the chop zone, expansion to the upside. Momentum stays up here. Volatility stays up here. This red expansion right here, stay nice and bullish. Maybe we get a green one right into here like we've done in the past, and we start pushing up. Guys, this is it. This is where I would say if you're going to be trading, I would be jumping on the 4-hour structure, putting a stop, following this absorption here, getting in, putting a stop loss, and looking for a pop to the upside. That's what I would be doing here, because if we break these tops, we're going to hunt the liquidity here and potentially revisit these levels right now, and you might be able to get into a good entry to revisit the top of the range. Again, I'm going to make this go away. We're going to get onto the daily. We're going to expand this, and look what I'm looking at is getting back to this zone. This trade going back to this zone, and that zone is where the node is at, the volume node that could act as a rejection. That's where you want to start TPing and taking your profit, trailing up stop losses. But at the same time, if we can actually break this top, guys, what about if we expand? What about if we hunt and we start moving and we start breaking out? So this is where really you got to make some critical decisions. For me, it's about getting into a position, right? And ensuring that my risk management allows me to get into a risk-free trade as soon as possible. Trailing up the stop loss at least into break even. Once it gets to this zone right here, trailing it up further to ensure that that trade is profitable. And then once it breaks out, guys, it's all on you. Take profit, scale out, DCA out the way you DCA in, and maybe you caught a bottom. And this is the reality. Maybe ZBCN made a higher low right into here with a nice impulsive move, and it might go up for range highs once again, or maybe not. So this is where you want to get in from a position of strength so that you have options. You don't want to get in from the top so you have no options other than to sell on a loss, right? Here you have options to get in from a relatively good, safe place. It is what it is. Maybe this is the higher low before we make a higher high. All right, guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor. Slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on those socials, the links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.